6:30, and this being the Nuclear Decommissioning Citizens Advisory Panel, I will call to order this, the November 24th, 2025 meeting of the Massachusetts Nuclear Decommissioning Citizens Advisory Panel. This meeting is taking place in a hybrid format. Members of the public and members of the panel are joining us here at the Great Hall at Plymouth Town Hall. Members of the public and members of the panel are joining us virtually over the Zoom webinar platform. Members of the public that wish to attend this meeting may do so physically at the Town Hall in Plymouth or in the Great Hall, or may do it over the Zoom webinar platform. The login information for the Zoom webinar platform is included on the agenda that is posted both on the state as well as now the town's website, because our town custodians keep track of when the building needs to be open based on when meetings are placed on the town website. So it will now be posted on both going forward. The meeting can also be streamed on YouTube's streaming channel. All right, so we will get into our agenda. The first item on our agenda would be a call to order and roll call of our members. We have just called to order. We will start with the roll call. Starting over at the corner, please introduce yourself and, if applicable, who you are a designee of for this particular meeting. And then we'll, once we're done with those in physical attendance, we will go to those attending via Zoom.
Brian McWilliams, designee for Pat O'Brien, Pilgrim Security Manager.
Good evening, Joe McDonough, designee for John Moylan, representing Holtec.
Kelly O'Brien, representing Local 369.
Pine Dubois, appointed by the Speaker of the House of Representatives.
Mike Fortini, appointed by the Senate Minority Leader.
Mary Gatzlick, appointed by the Senate Minority Leader.
Kevin Canty, member of the Plymouth Select Board.
Barry Potvin, appointed by the President of the Massachusetts Senate.
Jack Priest, Department of Public Health, representing the Commissioner for the Department of Public Health.
Andrew Gottlieb, originally appointed by Governor Baker, recently reappointed by Governor Healy.
David Bryant, Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency.
Okay. And that'll bring us on to...
Mr. Chairman, I believe the Plymouth Zoom is muted, so we can't hear, us online can't hear anything that is being said.
Okay. Okay.
That's better. I can hear you now.
Okay, we're good. Thank you, Pine. Well, we just, for those that couldn't hear anything, we just introduced everyone that's in physical attendance. We will now introduce those that are in virtual attendance, starting with Mary Lampert.
Yes, Mary Lampert, appointed by the Senate President. My husband is just relieved out of the hospital after a stay in cardiac, so he will not be here.
I couldn't hear most of that, to be honest.
Mary Lampert, appointed by the Senate President. Jim Lampert, my husband, will not attend. He was just released from cardiac.
Okay, thank you, and I hope your husband is doing well. Mary Waldron.
Mary Waldron, Whole Colony Planning Council.
Gregory Wade.
Greg Wade, representing the Massachusetts Department of Public Utilities.
And Chris Callahan.
Chris Callahan, representing Executive Office of Health and Human Services.
All right. And that's everybody that's attending virtually. Yeah. All right. So a quorum clearly being present, we can continue with our meeting. Next item on our agenda will be a reading of 14 CMR 188.00. 14 CMR 188.00, an act to promote energy diversity. The panel shall serve in an advisory capacity only and shall not have authority to direct decommissioning of the Pilgrim Nuclear Power Station. The duties of the panel shall be to hold a minimum of 4 public meetings each year for the purpose of discussing issues relating to the progress of decommissioning of the Pilgrim Nuclear Power Station beginning on or about June 1st, 2019, or when the Pilgrim Nuclear Power Station permanently ceases power operations, provided that the panel may hold additional meetings. To advise the governor, the general court, the agencies of the Commonwealth, and the public on issues related to the decommissioning of the Pilgrim Nuclear Power Station, with a written report being provided annually to the governor and to the energy committees of the general court, to serve as a conduit for public information and education on and to encourage community involvement in matters related to the decommissioning of the Pilgrim Nuclear Power Station, and to receive written reports and presentations on the decommissioning of the station at its regular meetings, to periodically receive reports on the Decommissioning Trust Fund and other funds associated with decommissioning of the Pilgrim Nuclear Power Station, including fund balances, expenditures made, and reimbursements received, to receive reports regarding the decommissioning plans for the Pilgrim Nuclear Power Station, including any site assessments and post-shutdown decommissioning assessment reports, provide a forum for receiving public comment on these plans and reports, and to provide comment on these plans and reports as the panel may consider appropriate to state agencies and the owner of the Pilgrim Nuclear Power Station and in the annual report described above. All right, that brings us into the next item on our agenda, that being the Holtec report. The individuals from Holtec are joining us at the podium. We will receive this meeting's report from Holtec, and we'll then open it up at the end to questions from members of the panel.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'm Joe McDonough, the project director at Holtec Pilgrim. For the first slide, we're looking at our respective project swim lanes. Most notably, next milestone will be LTP, or License Transition Plan, will be submitted March of '26. That'll then kick off a 2-year review period with the NRC, followed by the final site survey. Outbuilding demo right now would best be described as an internal focus. We're working on de-energizing electrical infrastructure, abandoning pneumatics in the site, source term reduction, which is equipment removal, and then environmental remediation, with the large majority of that being ACM or asbestos removal. And of course, all that work is supported by waste management. We're looking at the site aerial, not changed since the last meeting held. So in review, all site buildings have been demoed to original pad or foundation, with the exception of what intends to remain in blue and the in orange, the process buildings, namely turbine building, reactor building, and then the screen house, which is anticipated to follow the beneficial use determination process. Some other demo activities going on at site. So on the left is our flex well abandonments. There's 3 on site. They were a Fukushima initiative, and we're working with our environmental consultant and our licensed well abandonment crew to remove those. That's ongoing this week. On the right is soil piles. They're on Powerhouse Road, having low levels of PCB, so working on remediation of that. Currently putting that project under contract and anticipated to complete by the end of the year. One of the larger upcoming demolitions, so I talked about, we're getting into the internal approach. The condenser bay, it's a little over 30,000 square foot is the footprint. Large amount of TSI, or thermal system insulation, which is asbestos containing. We're putting that project under contract right now. I anticipate we'll mobilize before the end of the year. All in all, between 6 and 9 months would be the duration for that project. We'll work closely with Mass DEP in development for our non-traditional work plans in an approach to the environmental remediation in there. Anticipated that waste stream would be both mixed ACM or asbestos and radiological. For vessel segmentation, so we're finalizing lower vessel cleanup right now. That activity namely is just vacuuming up, cutting debris and components. The plan is to drain the reactor vessel down to the Taurus, anticipated to be in December. The volume up there on the screen, approximately 120,000 gallons. That'll join the current inventory in the Taurus. It'll be a very similar fashion to what we did with the dryer separator pit and reactor cavity, where we'll drain down and then apply an encapsulant. That's the white product that you're looking at on that picture, and that'll help with contamination control. Update to on-site water volumes. So approximately just over 808,000 gallons remain. That 120,000 that I talked about in the reactive vessel is part of that volume. The heaters are installed in our spent fuel pool, supporting heating domestic needs in the process buildings, both term building and reactive building. And again, mirrors the efforts that we've taken in the previous years, ultimately eliminating what was approximately up to 400,000 gallons of heating oil or number 2 fuel. For the regulatory update, we've been informed by Mass DEP Administrative Law Judge that they're upholding the recommendation for Mass DEP Commissioner on the denial of the surface water discharge permit. Right now, I can tell you it's whole text, just evaluating, waiting for the Commissioner's final decision, and then we'll evaluate what the next steps are there. As far as site source term reductions, so just exceeded 42,000 cubic feet year to date for 2025. About 5% of that is A, B, and C. Things like chip strainer baskets, filter media, with the other 95% being dry active waste or DAW. So that concludes Pilgrim's presentation. We'll open it up to questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. McDonough. Any questions from panel members? Oh, boy. Dr. Potvin?
A lot of feedback. Could you give us some information about the temperature that the submersible heaters are set to maintain?
The so up to 125 degrees Fahrenheit. Right now, bulk average temp around 97 degrees Fahrenheit.
How are those temperatures arrived at?
How they arrived at?
Yeah. I mean, the range. 90 to 125, you stated, right?
Right.
How is that decided?
Well, basically, we're creating a forced hot water system, and the temperature band is what's determined by ambient to make sure that we can get workable temperatures in the process building, namely reactor building. So as ambient temperatures would fluctuate, we would fluctuate the temperatures of the pool to meet our demand.
Okay, because obviously you can't let the water go down to a freezing temperature. That would cause major damage.
Yeah, an additional benefit is freeze protection.
Yeah, but at the moment, it's mostly for worker comfort?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Dubois, did you have a question?
Yeah, two, I think. The flex well that you, the 3 flex wells, I think, that you closed?
Yeah.
What is a flex well? And
So-
how deep were they?
So Flex is an initiation that was post-Fukushima. Essentially, the design function was an additional means to make up to the vessel in a scenario where you perhaps had an extended loss of power. The wells themselves are about 75 to 80 feet. Essentially, the design is, I believe, is a 6-inch diameter stainless steel sleeve. What they're doing is grouting them from the water table up, and then we collect and sample the water that's displaced with the grout.
And so they were on the site proper, or they were?
Within the protected area, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
in the vicinity of reactor building.
And the second question was that you estimate all the amount of waste that has been transported off-site. Do you know ballpark how much remains?
I can tell you what likely remains, so would be in terms of curies. So to date, we have shipped roughly 2,500 curies. Now, we do have in storage, what we call Legio-Land, the BC waste. Negating that, those amount of curies, it's, I don't have an exact number for you, Pine, but it's roughly equivalent to what's shipped through all those, from 2019 to 2025.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Just to clarify, so Flex well abandonment was an initiative that Holtec took. The purpose is it's a direct access to the aquifer, so before we got into any subsurface demo, we wanted to eliminate the risk, or the potential risk to contaminate the aquifer, hence filling them with grout and just eliminating that potential.
Yes, Mr. Gottlieb?
So, I notice both Holtec reps are different than what we're accustomed to. Are you now both serving as the?
I'm designee for John Moylan. I've been here for the last 3 meetings.
Okay.
John's a panel member, and I'm
Yeah.
a designee for him. Brian's designee for Dave Noyes. There hasn't been a change in panel membership.
So, should we expect to get presentations from you in the future, or is Dave coming back?
I'm filling in for Dave this meeting.
Thank you.
Other questions from panel members in physical attendance?
Yes.
And I see virtually Ms. Lampert.
Yes, that's correct. I have 2 questions. First, Joe, you mentioned you were going to remediate the PCPs. How are you doing that absent removing the soil?
Yeah, we'll physically be removing the soil. It'll be a non-radiological effort. Disposition will be through an approved TSCA landfill. So we'll work with our licensed site professional, our subcontractor, and state, and remediate to the TSCA landfill. I don't have an abundance of details. We're just getting that under contract right now, so we'll be owed submittals from the subcontractors and have a little bit more transparency on how that project's going to unfold.
Okay, second question. If there is a crack in the spent fuel canister, how are you going to fix it?
If there's a crack in the spent fuel pool canister,
Not pool, in the ISAP. In the cask, if there is a crack in the canister, how are you going to fix it? Because if there is a crack, there would be a release into the atmosphere. So the question is, how are you going to fix it?
any impairment or emergent issue, we'd evaluate against the technical certification of compliance. We'd follow our tech specs and our corrective actions, verify cooling paths, consult with our technical manuals, and address as appropriate.
Are you planning on an overpack? Because that was really just a lot of verbiage to me. Are you planning on an overpack? Are you going to try to get hot cells when they're ever developed? So I assume you're planning on an overpack. Is that correct?
We follow the aging management process, and that is one option that we do have available at a fleet level. I don't have a lot of details to provide you. I could take your specific question back and respond through the chairman.
Yeah, please do, because it is not, it's absent in detail. And if you're planning on an overpack, when, how long would it take to get one on site? And what are you planning for temperature control? Because if you have an overpack, you don't have the opportunity to release air, which provides coolant for the interior.
Well,
And so these are important unanswered questions, both in your certificate and on your website. And I think we deserve to know specifically the answers to these questions. So I really appreciate you getting that information.
I can take the question back and get you a little bit more information. We're kind of talking two different things. As far as temperature control, that would be through the passive cooling through the vent system where,
Yeah, but
where
if
physical.
if you have an overpack, you don't have that. The overpack cuts that off. Because if you have a crack, you do not want to have venting into the atmosphere. So you put on an overpack, and then you don't lose, then you lose your coolant capability.
Yeah, I'd rather not speculate, just get a little bit more information and then we'll distribute that.
Okay, that's great. I appreciate it.
Okay. Other questions from any other members in virtual attendance? Okay. Any other questions from panel members in physical attendance? Yes, Dr. Potvin.
So most of the water is currently, or soon will be in the Taurus, correct?
The majority would be in the Taurus. The majority is in the Taurus now, and it'll soon take the 120,000 additional gallons from the reactor vessel.
Okay. And how is the structural integrity of the Taurus evaluated?
It's a former tech spec. It was designed to absorb all of the pressure from the vessel, so it's very robust.
Okay. And I think at the last meeting, we were told that at the moment, there were no plans to put submersible heaters into the Taurus water, but it was sort of left as an open question.
And I think it remains an open question, to be honest with you. We're kind of evaluating everything that's been going on with the surface water discharge report, and I'd say that it remains open.
So at some point in the future, it might actually be the case that submersible heaters are put in there too.
I wouldn't want to speculate, but it remains an option.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Fortini?
But Joe, so you still have over 300,000 gallons in the spent fuel pool though, right?
Just under, yes.
And those are gonna remain there, I would assume, for a while, as long as you have Class B or C waste in the pool, right?
It certainly will remain while Class BC is in the pool. Right now, some of the further out projects would have spent fuel pool cleanup towards the end of next year, and we wouldn't clean the pool until the BC was removed and put into dry fuel storage. So that water volume will remain at least through the majority of 2026.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions from panel members? Going once? Going twice? Oh, go ahead.
So, Joe, just on the question about the crack on the dry cast storage canisters, exactly how are those constructed with respect to the internals of that canister itself?
How was the question, Kelly? How do they inspect the internals?
I mean, how was it constructed with respect? I mean, the crack itself on the outside concrete, internal stainless steel canisters.
Yeah, I think the question was on a crack on the canister. I can't think of an initiating event in review of what they're designed for, but I don't believe the intention was to have a superficial crack on the concrete. I think it was evaluating the canister. I don't know what that event would be. I don't believe there is a credible event that could occur, but nonetheless, we'll look at what the potential corrective actions could be.
Thank you.
Okay. And one last call for questions. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. McDonough.
All right, thank you.
So next on our agenda is the IWG report, and we are joined by an individual that can give us said report.
Mr. Chairman, I apologize. I cannot hear Gerard.
Oh, okay. Just make sure you're talking into the mic and the green light is lit.
You have to turn the microphone on.
It helps.
All right. With respect to the discharge permit appeal, Mass DEP's office, as discussed, Office of Appeals and Dispute Resolution, sent a recommendation to the Mass DEP Commissioner advising her to uphold the agency's decision to deny the amended discharge permit. That recommendation is still under review by the Commissioner, and no date for the final recommendation has been established at this time, to answer your question before you ask it. Asbestos, a few things are going on. Mass DEP received a closeout report for the station service red line, the waste storage area for asbestos-containing materials and rad waste, and the new non-traditional work plan for 2026 this week, and they are under review. Abatement of a small area of paint to install a door closing mechanism in DR4 area is being conducted, and Mass DEP inspected the area on November 17th. Upcoming work is better? Okay.
Yes.
And as discussed, we're awaiting the submission of the asbestos removal application to start abatement of the condenser bay. Once the notification has been submitted to Mass DEP, we will perform a walkthrough with the contractor to discuss phasing and methodology. With respect to wastewater, the Title V plans were received by the department in early October, and they're under review. And as far as the removal of the PCB contaminated soil from Para 3 area, my understanding is that Holtec will submit a release abatement measure plan when they're ready to do that work. It will be uploaded on our website for all to take a look at, and at that time, we will review it as well to make sure it conforms with the regulations. That plan will outline how much soil and where the soil is being disposed of, and everything we need to know. And that is our report back.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any questions from panel members in regards to the IWG report? Yes, Ms. Dubois?
Gerard, thanks. How will we know that you've got that report and that we should look at the DEP website?
There's really no notification on that. It just gets uploaded. So we check the site fairly often, and you can do that as well.
Can you send a notice to the NDCAP and we can try to figure out how to be more useful?
Yes, we can do that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Other questions from panel members? And any panel members online have any questions? All right. Looks like you're off the hook.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us into the next item on our agenda, that being the approval of previous meeting minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the proposed meeting minutes from our September meeting? I'm getting nods and blank stares. Does anyone have anything they would like to add, edit, alter, or otherwise change in regards to the proposed meeting minutes from the September meeting?
I have some, very
Okay.
few this time.
Okay.
All right, my first comment is on page 2, the ongoing demolition update, review of upcoming demolition activities, the first bullet. Add the following for better clarification. This is abandoned, diverse, and flexible flex coping strategy water well, which are direct openings to the aquifer. On page 11, the last bullet, 7th line, I think EPO is EPZ. I'm not sure, but it's EPC sounds better, emergency planning zone. I think that's what they meant.
Okay.
That's page 11 of the notes. And then on page 12, there was a typo. Public questions, it's public question and comments, the 23rd line. In that section, you had said dantic, and it should be pedantic. It's just a typo.
Okay.
And then I went through the meeting and picked up all the actions that we had that were, because I wasn't at the meeting, but I went through the minutes, and and the video, and it came up with 7 actions, and I sent them to you.
Yes.
And I would suggest that we try to keep that ongoing so that we don't lose track of what we committed to as a panel. To get a case in point, first one was the evaporation verification. Evaporation rate verification is confirm whether or not the temperature/heater use affects evaporation rates at Pilgrim. This was something that you, Joe, said you would take as an action. And your action is to verify data and report results to the panel. It's items like that so that we don't lose them moving forward. So I'm not going to go through all 7 of them.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just give that, I'll send that to you.
Yes.
So you're good.
Yes. Yeah, and I think having a list of that would be beneficial, making it easier to keep track of our stated intentions and commitments.
That's correct. I agree with
Yes.
you. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone have anything else they would like to add, edit, alter, or otherwise change in regards to the proposed meeting minutes from our September meeting?
I only found 2 typos.
Ms. Dubois?
But actually, I wasn't sure about this one. So on page 4, the IWG second bullet, it says the asbestos abatement is completed of the seal condenser. And I don't know whether we're meant on or for or with or something, the seal condenser. We might be able to figure that out.
Okay.
Page 11, the last bullet, EPZ, should be EPZ, I think?
Yes, I think,
Okay.
yes.
And I would just propose that in page 11, the 11th line, that Gurnett is with a capital G, only so that we know what you're talking about.
Okay. All right. In terms of the first one, do we want to go with 4 as opposed to on?
That would be fine with me, but I'm not sure what's correct in terms of the asbestos. It was actually, we were quoting DEP, I think. So it had to do with.
I think it was the gland seal system, Gerard, on the status of where they were at when you were doing that
The
abatement plan.
The activity's been completed, abatement on plant seal
On
condenser.
the seal condenser.
Correct.
Would be fine.
Okay. Is that how it's currently
It
written?
says of.
Of, so on. Okay. So we'll change that to on.
Just didn't make sense to me. That's all.
Okay.
Picky, I know.
Hey, accuracy is important. All right. Anyone have anything else they would like to add, edit, alter, or otherwise change in regards to the proposed meeting minutes from our September meeting? Hearing and seeing none, Ms. Gatzlick, would you care to make a motion to approve the September meeting minutes with the edits that we have just gone through?
I make a motion that we approve.
Okay, and Ms. Dubois, would you care to second?
Yes, I will second it.
It has been moved, it has been seconded. Any discussion about whether or not we should approve the proposed meeting minutes from our September meeting? Hearing and seeing none, I will go through the roll. Mr. McWilliam?
I'll be abstaining.
Okay. Mr. McDonough?
Approve.
Mr. O'Brien?
Approve.
Ms. Dubois?
Approve.
Mr. Fortini?
Approve.
Ms. Ganslick?
Approve.
Mrs. Lambert?
Approved.
Mr. Priest?
Approved.
Mr. Bryant?
Approved.
Mr. Wade?
Approve.
Mr. Callahan?
Approve.
Mr. Gottlieb?
Abstain.
Ms. Waldron?
Approve.
Dr. Potvin?
Approve.
And myself, yes. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13 votes in the affirmative with 2 abstentions. All right. So in a vote of 13 yes, 0 no, and 2 abstentions, we have approved the proposed meeting minutes of September, that making them the actual meeting minutes for our September meeting. That brings us into the next item on our agenda, that being public questions and comments. So before we enter that, we'll just note that we were originally intending to have the NRC decommissioning team here tonight, but they contacted us shortly after the government shutdown ended to inform us that they could not attend because they didn't have time to prepare after getting back to work from the shutdown for this meeting. And so instead, we'll have to push that to January. They can make the January meeting, and hopefully the government doesn't shut down in the interim. And we will go forward from there. And we have 45 minutes for them to present, 15 minutes of panel questions thereabouts, and they have been invited to stay for the public questions and comments afterwards, and it'll be up to them whether or not they choose to do that. But with that in mind, let's, without further ado, get into public comment for this meeting that we're currently attending. We will now move on to the public questions and comments section of the meeting. The panel has allotted 30 minutes on our agenda for the purpose of public questions and comments. During this section of our agenda, any member of the public may make a statement or ask questions of members of the panel. Each speaker during this segment will be given up to 5 minutes to make their statement or ask questions. This speaking time will include both the statements of the speaker and the time panel members spend answering any questions that are posed to them. If a speaker exceeds their 5 minutes of speaking time and wishes to speak for additional time, they will be offered up to 1 additional minute to finish speaking, or if they want more than an additional minute, they can ask the panel for their desired amount of time. But speakers are reminded that pursuant to our enabling statute, such a request will require a majority vote of the entire membership of the panel in order to succeed. Once 30 minutes have elapsed, the panel will not invite further speakers to speak. However, any speaker that has already started speaking prior to the 30-minute mark will be given the same speaking time and opportunities afforded to prior speakers to make their statements or get answers to their questions. So, any members of the public in physical attendance wishing to give public comment? I saw Ms. Turco first, and then we'll start over on the right. Please take the podium, make sure your light is on, since we're having some recurring audio problems, and then you will have your time to speak.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Diane Turco with Cape Town Windows and Save Our Bay. Recently, Senator Dylan Fernandez filed legislation, and so did Representative Badger and Representative Hadley Luddy from my district. And this bill would stop the evaporation of the airborne pollution and initiate a study to look into what's happening in our environment. The Plymouth Independent recently wrote a report on that, an article on that, and Pat O'Brien, the Holtec spokesperson, said, using fear of radiation, something naturally occurring daily on this planet in everyday life, is akin to putting aside years of facts and science to study what is already known as no impact. I want to ask the Holtec reps here, do you agree with that statement?
Yes.
Okay.
And
Okay.
let me elaborate
Is
a little
tritium,
bit.
cobalt, plutonium, and cesium, is that naturally occurring or is that man-made?
I wouldn't be able to respond unless you're going to let me respond
I'm
in
sorry?
full. I wouldn't be able to respond if you're not going to allow me to respond
Oh, I
in
didn't hear
full.
you. I can't hear you.
I agree with it on principle. What Pat's trying to demonstrate is that we've modeled radiation from associated with tritium on the refuel floor under the most conservative of estimates. We've put workers on the floor 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year, evaporated theoretically in a model all of the water within 1 year. We've recognized that dose to that person under the most conservative assumptions would be somewhere in the ballpark of 7 to 8 millirem.
Okay, if I could just stop there, because what he is saying is naturally occurring daily on this planet.
Now,
And that
Mr. O'Brien's
putting
putting that
aside
in.
years of facts and science to study what is already known as having no impact. And my question is, he's saying naturally, is tritium, cobalt, plutonium, or cesium natural or man-made? Just a yes, one or the other. I don't need any more than that.
Well, I wouldn't be able to respond if you're not going to let me respond in full.
Okay, I'll let you know then. It's man-made. So this statement isn't related to Pilgrim.
No, it's not.
No, but the other ones aren't. But tritium is also from Pilgrim. Okay, I'll take out tritium. Cobalt, plutonium, and cesium. The statement that Holtec made is not related to naturally occurring radiation, but it looks like it's attempting to, because the EPA, the NRC, the DOE, OSHA, FDA, IEA, WHO, CDC, FDA, American Medical Association, significant health dangers, long-term cancer risks from radiation. And the second thing I wanted to say is,
Mr. Chairman, may I
Chris Singh
respond?
said at Senator Markey's hearing that the water's not contaminated, and quote, "but we would not discharge it until we have consent from our stakeholders. We would not discharge it because we don't want to upset anyone." He also said, "We can locally evaporate the water using electric heaters. That will environmentally damage as well, do environmental damage as well." Holtec said they wouldn't discharge the water without consent of the stakeholders, and we are the stakeholders. I have here over 200,000 SIG people who signed a petition to say, do not discharge the water. We have the vote from 16 towns that said, do not discharge, evaporate this wastewater. Senator Markey has said that, our legislators have said that, the Massachusetts Medical Society has said that, the Greater Boston Physicians for Social Responsibility has said that. How will this panel, first, we do not consent to the release of radioactive materials into our environment. We know it's landing on Cape Cod Bay. The DEP rightly upheld that permit to not dump in the bay, but it's still getting in there, and we know that radioactive materials released via evaporation are more dangerous than surface water discharge. How will this panel move to hold Holtec accountable to the promise to the people, the stakeholders? Because we don't consent to this. And they said they would not do anything without our consent. What more can we do? But what is this panel going to do to stop it? That's my question.
So this panel advises the governor and the general court?
Mhm.
So that is the extent of our authority to do anything,
Mhm.
is to advise those entities
Mhm.
and agencies. So we will continue to do that.
Could you advise the court to support and pass Senator Fernandez's bill and Representative Badger and Luddy's bills for a study of the evaporation and what's happening in our environment and on Cape Cod Bay?
So the panel can't get involved in advocating for legislation. We only advise as to what is happening in regards to the plant and its decommissioning process to those entities, and then they can make the decisions within their relevant authorities to do or not do things as they see fit.
So what's the purpose of
You
this
have
panel
exceeded,
then?
hold on, you've
Yeah.
exceeded your 5 minutes. So do you want an additional minute?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, one more minute, yes.
go ahead.
All right, so what are the people to do? We've gone to the governor, we've gone to the AGO, we've gone to the people. The people are saying no. We live in a democratic republic. I've never seen such an issue be ignored when the people are all behind this issue of stopping the evaporation. It's illegal. The Ocean Sanctuaries Act says liquid and gaseous materials, and nobody is pursuing the gaseous materials. And a study done after 3 Mile Island, when they evaporated the wastewater after that accident, instead of dumping it into the Susquehanna River, found that it was 300 times more dangerous to the public than surface water discharge. And right now, what's happening is it's being evaporated with impunity. Does anybody have any questions? Mary, you're shaking your head no. I don't know if you had anything you wanted to ask.
No, I'm not going to get involved in this.
Your additional minute has expired. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, other members of the public in physical attendance? Yes. That's fine. Yep, take the podium and introduce yourself, please. Again, making sure the white light is, the green light is lit up and on.
The green light's still on, so I guess I'm being heard.
There you go.
My name's Charles Adey. I've been living in Plymouth since 1971, and I moved to Plymouth as a startup engineer for General Electric for the initial startup of the Pilgrim plant. Since then, I've worked on in construction, startup, and operations and refueling outages. And subsequent to that, in later years, I've been involved with the decommissioning of the Shoreham Nuclear Power Plant and 3 nuclear reactors on the Brookhaven National Laboratory site. And the one thing in my experience that seems more relative to this discussion is that we had a high-flux beam reactor, and it was heavy water cooled, which has lots of tritium in it. And in fact, because of leaks in piping systems. When reactor vessel was opened for refueling, the spent fuel pool that stored the fuel. As a result of that, there is tritium in the air all of the time. And the individuals, everybody working inside of that plant, because of the physical processes of tritium, they all were absorbing tritium at all times, and they have a tritium burden in their body. And yet, none of that over people with working years and years had no adverse effects and were well within the standards that the NRC set for body burdens. And I just wanted to reiterate that because I think that's, in my mind, a very important feature. Getting back to the discharge limit of 20 picocuries per liter, there are 20,000 picocuries per liter. There are countries, that's the drinking water standard. There are countries in the world that have a drinking water standard 10 times that, and I think there are a couple that have even more than that, with no adverse effects on their populations. And while we have also seen that we've been discharging tritium into the bay since the plant began operation. And we have spent countless amounts of money on assessing the impact of the plant's operation, and they have found no adverse effect from that tritium discharge for the 47 years that the plant has been operating. And the discharge as proposed at the same discharge limits in the future as part of the decommissioning will result in the same lack of any adverse effect. And that's really all I have to say.
Okay.
Any question?
Thank you. Other members of the public in physical attendance? Yes, Ms. Dickinson.
Elaine Dickinson, Cape Town Winders. Just a statement. The EPA has a maximum contaminant level goal.
Elaine, can you put the mic closer to your mouth?
The EPA has a maximum contaminant level goal of 0 exposure.
Thank you. Other members of the public in physical attendance? Yes, please take the microphone, Mr. Campbell. Introduce yourself, making sure the green light is on, and the mic is near your mouth.
Hi, my name is Brian Campbell. I'm a retired electrical engineer, and I strongly support discharging treated water from Pilgrim Nuclear Station into Cape Cod Bay. I've reported after dilution, 80 gallons of discharged water would equal the radiation dose received from eating a banana, provided you could drink 80 gallons of salt water. Google AI reported that there are over 2 million tritium exit signs in the USA alone, and that the average sign has about 25 curies of tritium, or less than half the amount of tritium contained, and it's less than a milligram of mass remaining in the 835,000 gallons of tritiated water. The presentations by Holtec to this panel shows Holtec to be a good corporate citizen, performing the Pilgrim decommissioning in a truthful and open manner that should be commended. Good news, Indian Point Nuclear Decommissioning. U.S. District Judge Kenneth Carras ruled that New York's Save the Hudson Act, signed by Governor Hochul in 2023, was preempted by federal law, specifically the Atomic Energy Act of 1954, which grants federal government exclusive authority to regulate radioactive discharges from nuclear facilities. New York Attorney General James, who has pleaded not guilty to federal mortgage fraud charges, has announced her intention to appeal Carras's federal court decision. Holtec has indicated it does not plan any immediate discharges and will engage with local stakeholders. Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection denied Holtec's permission to discharge the water into the bay. In November 2025, a state appeals officer ruled against Holtec International in the discharge case. Holtec is right and has had to delay its overall decommissioning timeline and stated it will keep the water on site while exploring disposal options and appealing the state's decision. Association to Preserve Cape Cod, Andrew Gottlieb says, "We feel very good that the records that we have entered into the appeal process will serve the defense of the Commonwealth's actions. Well, whether we end up in state or federal court in the future, yes, hopefully federal court, with a like-minded judge like Carras. I look forward to the NRC presentation in January, allowing the discharge of the treated water. Calling for utilities to lower rates. President Trump and New York City Mayor-elect Zoran Mondani recently met and publicly called on Con Ed to lower its rates, arguing that lower fuel prices should be reflected in customer bills. This could potentially be applied to other utilities like ComEd. But premature closing of Indian Point Nuclear, 25% of New York City's electricity, and replacing with burning gas has raised New York City's energy costs and emissions, just as in Pilgrim here in Massachusetts. President Trump has called renewable energy sources like wind and solar power a scam, the scam of the century, and a joke on multiple occasions. Trump argues that they are too expensive, unreliable, and lead to record-breaking electricity prices. He has instead advocated for expanding the use of fossil fuels. I believe in a gas-to-nuclear power transition, which will enable 100 gigawatts, approximately 8% of our total generation, of reliable electrical generation that Sam Altman reports will be needed for artificial intelligence development by 2035. 2025 is the time to build new cost-effective electrical generation. My last electrical bill was 35 cents a kilowatt hour, minus the $10 customer charge. It's time for Massachusetts to repeal its 2050 net zero scam and return to affordability. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Other members of the public in physical attendance that would like to give comments? Yes, please take the microphone, making sure the green light is on, and the microphone is near your mouth.
Good evening. I'm Joanne Wilson-Keenan from East Dennis, Massachusetts. I just wanted to respond to the second speaker's comments. Going back to 1971, I don't have the answer to this question, but I certainly wonder how many of those workers who were exposed to the discharges from the plant were men. My concern is about women, children, embryos, fetuses who are exposed to the radionuclides coming out of the plant, which include not only tritium, but cesium, plutonium, cobalt, and others. So I don't think we can look at this through only the lens of how it affects men. Thank you.
Okay, can I talk to that?
Well, you weren't asked a question, so.
Oh, I wanted to respond to that. I've experienced what you commented on.
Okay, go ahead.
Just in response to your comment, ma'am, I worked at the plant for 31 years. I had 2 children while I was working at the plant. I can tell you, there was no issue. I said, I worked at the power plant, and I was pregnant twice while I was there. Kids were born healthy, no problems whatsoever. My exposure there was less than 1 millirem for the entire pregnancy for both pregnancies. So I'm not afraid, was not afraid when I was working there.
If you want to respond, if you could take the microphone, please.
I'm pleased that that was the outcome for you and your children, but I hope that that is the outcome for every woman in this community and down the road where I live into the Cape and beyond.
The best thing you can do is educate yourself and look at the regulations and do your research. Don't depend on the University or Google to give you, or AI to give you the answer. But
Thank
that's all
you.
I ask you is just do your research, if you would.
Thank you. I do not depend on the University of Google. Thank you.
Is it my turn? Mary Lampert.
Other members of the public wishing to give comment or questions? We have, is it Lyle?
Yep.
Lyle Kurtzall, please. Unmute yourself. You have the floor. You're waiting for Lyle Kurtzall to unmute himself. Once that occurs, we will hear comments or questions. You appear to be unmuted. If you are speaking, we cannot hear you. If you're not speaking, please do. Well, unless we're having unknown technical problems, it does not appear that Lyle Kurtzall wishes to avail themselves of public comment. They've remuted themselves. And they're gone. Okay. Any other? Yes, please take the podium and introduce yourself, making sure the green light is on and that the microphone is near your mouth.
Good evening. My name is Paul George. I used to spend a lot of time in Plymouth. I would like anyone who feels like they want to answer this question. I believe you were talking, maybe it was the gentleman from Holtec, was talking about certain either building components or whatever were transported away from the Plymouth site. Was that you?
We talked about that during the presentation with the waste processing.
It's very hard for me to hear you.
The waste, all rad waste is transported out of Plymouth, out of the off-site.
So,
It's to a facility in Texas, namely.
okay, I think I heard that. So when waste is transported out or contaminated materials are transported out, how is that done? But via what means?
Both road and rail under DOT guidelines and regulated by the NRC.
And percentage on rail and percentage over the road?
I don't have the percentages to give you, sir.
Who has that information?
I'd have to consult with our waste management group.
I apologize, I cannot hear you.
He'd have to consult with the waste management group to get you the percentages.
Ah, so can you contact them and report back?
Yeah, I'd be happy to give you a percentage on what leaves via rail versus road.
Yeah, tell us more about the waste management
Sure,
group.
absolutely.
Is there anything that you're able to tell us now about the waste management group? Who are they? How do they?
They're internal to Holtec, and they facilitate with our vendor in Texas the transportation of all rad material from the site to its recipient in, I believe it's Andrews, Texas.
Okay, how am I doing on the 5 minutes?
You are at 2.
Okay. So where's the final destination?
Andrews, Texas.
Something Texas?
Andrews, Texas.
Andrew, Texas?
Andrews.
Okay.
So
More than
we have a variety of classes of waste, sir. So we have greater than Class C, and that's held in Plymouth off Rocky Hill Road at our facility. We
Okay.
have BC waste that's in storage right now. That's just waiting for licensing for packaging, and that would foreseeably go to Texas. And then we have A, B, and lower than A that has been and will continue to be transported, whether it be via rail or road, to the facility in Texas that we contract.
So you appear to be sort of trichotomizing here. You have A, and you have B, and you have C. Would you be kind enough to define what constitutes A, and why would something be in B or C?
It's the radiological constituents of the waste that have it characterized with different levels, and they have different controls and protocols per their classification.
Could you describe the levels?
I could not.
Who can?
We do that internally with our waste group. So it entails a lot of characterization. It's a radiological subject matter where they would characterize, subsequently classify, and then we'd control it through DOT and NRC controls.
Okay, but
But if you will, it's not really important for me to characterize by curie or dose, just that those are the protocols. They're available via DOT website. NRC has their own regulations.
well, could you explain in plain English some of the stuff for us tonight, if I still have another minute or so?
Depending on the degree of dose and curie content would dictate what the classification is, and that dictates what the controls are to transport it, whether it be via rail or road.
So what would the Curie content be for A, B, and C? You are the project manager,
So I'd
correct?
respond to that. I don't characterize, and I don't have those quantities to give you.
Okay, that's unhelpful. I'm just trying to figure out.
I'm sorry that you find it unhelpful. I did offer to provide more information when I would regroup with those individuals.
Okay, I just find that your lack of knowledge, I'm not sure. If you don't have the information, you're putting me at a loss for words. This should be a very easy question.
Characterization is a very methodical process, and I wouldn't want to give you any false information.
Could you describe, please?
You've exceeded your 5 minutes. Would you like an additional minute to
If the
conclude your
board
questions?
is willing to give me an additional minute, I would love that.
You may have it.
I've seen in the past the characterization of eating a banana providing some radioactivity to the human system. How much?
You'd like me to tell you the characterization of a banana?
I'm trying
I'm
my
not
best
well-
to
I'm not
respect
willing
you.
or
Are you-
interested in entertaining
if
the
you're-
question.
If you're
Thank
doing
you.
the same. Where is this coming from?
Wait, he didn't make the remark about the...
No, I know, but I'm asking the gentleman from Holtec, he must know something about
Holtec
the
is not interested
characterization of...
in providing a characterization for a banana. That's the answer to the question.
Thank you for trying to make me look like a buffoon. I do appreciate that.
It wasn't the intention. I was trying to answer the question directly, sir.
Okay, well, what I'm asking you is to describe in plain English to these good people what a Curie is.
So your additional minute has also expired, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
welcome.
And thank you for your answers.
You're welcome. Other members of the public in physical attendance wishing to give public comment or question? Okay, we have a member of the public virtual. Hopefully this one will work. Richard Rothstein, if you can unmute yourself, and you may speak. You are unmuted, but if you are talking, I cannot hear you. Mr. Rothstein? We still cannot hear you. All right. We will not apparently be hearing from Mr. Rothstein either. Any other members of the public in physical attendance, since we seem to be having very little luck virtual? All right. And anyone else virtual that wants to give it a go? All right. Well, we seem to have exhausted public comment. So that brings us into the next item on our agenda, which is discussion on proposals from panel members regarding adding items to future agendas. So, in this segment, we will talk about what, if any, items members of the panel want to put on future agendas. We were originally, as I said earlier, planning on having the NRC at this meeting, which we had planned to have some items in January as a result of that. But now they will be here, the NRC, in January. So that will push the items that were going to be heard in January till March at the earliest. So we have a bit of runway ahead of us before we have to fill further agendas. But do panel members have anything that they would like to propose adding to a future agenda when we are able to do so? Ms. Lampert?
Yes. I think it's very important to look at spent fuel. And there are three issues that should be looked at. One is security, which we have had a discussion, but I think we could talk about where that has led to perhaps recommendations. The next is corrosion. When I asked Joe those questions, and I think it should be looked at, because I think and then the third is options for off-site storage. I know it is Vermont and DCAP did a lot of study, and they made recommendations on their feelings towards interim storage. And all three of those elements, security, corrosion, off-site storage, all work together. Because it is clear that there's not going to be off-site storage anytime soon, and the canisters were not designed for long-term storage in a corrosive marine environment. So I think we need to look at all those three elements. Very important for decommissioning. There are two licenses, one for the deconstruction, or whatever you want to call it, site release, and the other for the ISFD. Second, I think there should be a discussion of health, which would bring in this work by Marco Caltafan and others, and it would, others suggested, would bring in a look at the Southeastern Massachusetts health study. I think it's important that we do that for two reasons. One is President Trump has issued orders to the NRC to fast forward the Nuclear Renaissance 3, one of which is for the NRC to look at the LNT, or no acceptable dose, if you will. And I think it's important to understand ourselves what this will mean. What will it mean for exposures to workers, exposures off-site? What is the fast line that NRC will be taking? Will there be opportunity for public comment? Would this group recommend comment by our state or whatnot? So those are the two that I would like to see discussed, and I was disappointed. I somehow could not comment on Mr. Addy's and Ms. Wilson's comment. I had my hand up because I would hate to think that the comment of Eddie, Mary Gatzlick would go unchallenged, because there are many, many studies showing the harm around populations around nuclear reactors, and there have been suits by workers during operations, some very successful. And so I think it's important that we understand that. Thank you very much.
So in terms of your first proposed item in regards to spent fuel, dealing with subtopics of security, corrosion, and options for off-site storage, who do you envision presenting to the panel on that?
Well, certainly we can come up with people. That's not going to be difficult.
Well, but like, you don't need a name per se, but like, what would they be, a employee of Holtec? Would they be someone else in the industry, a professor or something?
No, it would be independent. I think we have an ample opportunity to hear from Holtec, which we appreciate. It's important.
Okay.
But no, we don't want Holtec. We want an independent expert.
An independent expert. Okay.
Or I could say experts.
Okay.
I'm not going to limit it to one.
Okay.
And
And in terms of the other one, it is occasionally difficult to hear you, Mrs. Lampert. So could you just briefly describe in like a sentence the other topic? About, I believe it was about health, but it was difficult to hear you when you started talking about it.
Health effects.
Health effects of what?
Yes. Of exposure to radiation, as it relates to the decommissioning of Pilgrim and the operations of Pilgrim.
Well, it's no longer operating, so.
Because I know they're not operating, but the deposition from operations are to be cleaned up.
So health effects of exposure.
Are, as Marco and that study pointed out, are in the neighborhood. They
So
don't have the labels on them.
Health effects of exposure to radiation in the decommissioning of Pilgrim Nuclear Power Station. Would that be an accurate summation?
Based on research here and elsewhere.
And who would present to the panel in regards to that?
Well, you would have, for example, and I say for example, you would have the authors of the study from the dust and soil. You would have perhaps Richard Clapp, who was at MDPH, head of radiation epidemiology, radiation control during the Southeast Massachusetts Health Study, and he had done the initial research prior to the cancer registry of Pilgrim's effects in the 70s, et cetera. Now, that would be a beginning.
Okay. So we will take those in turn. So a majority vote of the full panel membership is our quantum vote. Full panel, if everyone is appointed, which is what the full membership is 21 positions. So that requires 12 votes. So we will take the first item, the issue of spent fuel, relation to security, corrosion, and options for off-site storage. And that would be presented by an independent expert or experts as envisioned. Options for off-site.
I was very difficult to hear, so.
Yes, it was, but I think I got there eventually. But that's the, That's the first topic. So the topic of spent fuel and specifically dealing with security, corrosion, and options for off-site storage.
And can I ask, how would we determine who the presenters would be? Would that be a panel collaboration, or would Mary be the one that decides who's going to show up?
Well, it's her idea, so if the panel approves it, I would inquire with her which independent expert or experts she thinks could cover the topic, and then we would see if those independent expert or experts were willing to come and when they could do so, and then we would take it from there. If no independent experts present themselves, then we wouldn't be able to do it, but it would be dependent on finding one or more independent experts, and she would be because it's her topic, she would be the one to determine whom.
But we could also always follow up if we found it, and I'm not presuming anything, Mary, but in any of these cases, we would be able to follow up and offer additional information if there was such.
Correct. We will always.
At a later date.
Yes, we will always have more agendas. We will always have more opportunities for, yes, yes.
And so, Kevin, could I just, so obviously, like anyone, I'm certainly in favor of a temporary or a permanent repository located within the United States. Wouldn't it be more appropriate, though, if we broke it out, where we talk about the cast themselves, and then have the actual temporary or permanent repository as a separate item? Because to me, that's two different entities that would be doing the presentation. The DOE would have to somehow be involved in the temporary or permanent repository, where a person, the entity that would be addressing the CAS associated, any issues associated with the CAS, to me would be a total different entity. So it almost seems like we should break them out, because I think it's going to be much more difficult, in my estimation, to get someone to come to talk about the actual temporary or permanent repository. Because the DOE for years seems to have been not available to discuss this, and they're the ones that are responsible for coming up with this.
So they are. This is Ms. Lampert's request to do it in this way, so that could be a reason for voting against it or proposing your own alternative.
No, it could be, wait a minute.
Okay, waiting.
Okay. Those were the topics to be discussed. They don't have to be in one setting. They could be split up at different meetings. But I think this group ought to be looking into these issues. If you make it so narrow, and I'm sorry you interpreted that as such, or I wasn't clearer, obviously it's going to go nowhere and it would be worthless. So I totally agree that you look at one aspect, you look at another aspect, you look at the others, but these should be looked at.
Okay, so they may be multiple presentations, I suppose. It appears up to 3, yes. Yes. Dr. Potvin?
Yes, I'd just like to point out that the planned agenda item, which was for January and now is for March, does cover some of the things that Ms. Lambert is talking about.
Yes.
Structural integrity of
Yes.
the casks.
Yes.
What has to be done in order to transport that material safely.
Yes.
And we already have an independent person that has agreed to testify on that subject matter from Ohio State University.
Yes. Agreed. Other discussion or questions about this? Yes.
I think it would be helpful to make an informed decision if we had the intended speaker to speak on these topics, rather than just saying, okay, we want to talk about this, and then it's sort of a free-for-all on the back end. So I think before we can make that informed, like, this should be an agenda item, we should want to know who is going to speak on something, and before we get to just a general, I want to hear about
Okay.
this or that.
Understood. I don't think, unless Mrs. Lampert has specific people in mind for any of these subtopics yet, it sounded like she had categories of people, but not specific.
So I would recommend that we repropose those topics once we have a speaker identified for the panel to consider.
Okay. Other discussion? All right, hearing and seeing none, despite the fact that it's 1 to 3 items, they were presented in a singularity, so, and how they are manifested on one or more agendas may vary, but we'll take it as one vote. So in regards to the larger topic of spent fuel with subtopics of security, corrosion, and options for off-site storage, to be presented on by one or more independent experts in one or more meetings. Do we have a motion to add that to an agenda, Mrs. Lampert?
Yes.
Okay. Does that motion have a second?
Yes.
All right, it has been moved by Mrs. Lampert. It has been seconded by Ms. Dubois. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call for the vote. Mr. McWilliam?
Abstain, sir.
Okay. Mr. McDonough?
No, until it's a little better defined.
Okay. Mr. O'Brien?
I'm okay with it.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Dubois?
Yes, because we are going to define it.
Mr. Fortini?
Yes.
Ms. Gatzlick?
Yes.
Mrs. Lampert?
Yes.
Mr. Priest?
Abstain.
Mr. Bryant?
No.
Mr. Wade?
Abstain.
Mr. Callahan?
Abstain.
Mr. Gottlieb?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
And myself, yes. And Dr. Potvin, sorry.
Yes.
All right. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 9 yes.
Yep.
I have 1, 2 no. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4 abstentions.
I concur.
All right, in a vote of 9 in favor, 2 in opposition, and 4 abstentions, the motion, which requires 12 votes to succeed in the affirmative, does not carry. That brings us to the
Does it require 12 or 11?
12. There's 21 members of the panel, so it would require 12.
I'd like to make a motion.
Well, that's not the correct adding.
What?
Majority of 21 is 11.
Well, it doesn't have that either. So,
Well, I know that, I'm just
okay.
making the point.
Mr. Priest?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion in front of the panel that we revisit that topic, and I would ask Mary, as Dave said, to have a specific speaker for that topic area, and then that would give us a little bit more granularity to make a decision on whether we would invite that person to speak. I think just saying, let's have a discussion about dry fuel storage is too broad.
I would agree. I think over
So my
time.
motion is
Mhm.
to have that subject better defined by Mrs. Lampert
Mhm.
with a candidate to provide the information to do the presentation,
Okay.
and then we could re-vote on it.
So, Mrs. Lampert, would you, instead of potentially doing a motion, would you just look into that and get specific people lined up and then repropose that at a future date?
Correct.
So, she's agreed to do it, so.
Okay, so we don't need a motion to do that? So if we-
Not if she's willing to do it of her
So if we
own.
had a proposal come in and we vote it down, how many times can somebody come in and make the same proposal and continue to vote it down?
Well, I guess that'll be up to them and their willingness to endure the experience.
Okay, I'm just asking a question.
Yeah.
That's why I made it as a proposal, so.
I understand.
We could guarantee that she could come back. And
Yes.
we could have a vote on it.
Yes, I understand.
Thanks.
You're welcome. And then the second item, the health effects of exposure to radiation during the decommissioning of Pilgrim Nuclear Power Station. Could I repeat it? The health effects of exposure to radiation during decommissioning of Pilgrim Nuclear Power Station. Any preliminary questions on this topic?
May I make a comment?
Yes?
Why waste time to end up where we did on the previous? So why don't I come back with speakers?
Okay, so you're withdrawing the request?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
it seems foolish.
All right, that request has been withdrawn. Other proposed agenda items from any panel members? Yes, Mr. Priest?
So we were asked, and it didn't carry over in the action items, I believe it was Mrs. Lampert, that we had somebody from the Department of Public Health come in and speak to, there's been several cancer studies that have been performed, and we had a discussion about that at
Yes.
DPH, and we can provide a speaker to come in
Okay.
to talk about the history of those, because there's several of them, and there's overlap, and even myself, you know, trying to go back through and read through what was presented when it was, you know, published and put out. It was, I'll say, a little etherish. So we talked to our epidemiology toxicology group, and we can provide a speaker. So it's just going to be coordinating which monthly or bi-monthly meeting that they could come in and present. Since the NRC got bumped, I assume it would be subsequent to
Yes, probably
that
be,
meeting?
we already, so we're bumping the January stuff to March, hopefully. So I guess probably earliest would be May, depending on,
So if they bump again,
yep.
I could ask that we be prepared if we needed to fill in
Okay.
for the March meeting.
Okay.
Otherwise, it could be May.
Okay.
So if you want to get some information and we get some feedback back about firming up those dates, you can contact me.
Okay.
I'll work with our staff, and we'll get a speaker
Okay.
committed to that date.
All right, I will do that. Thank you. Other proposed items for future agendas from anyone in virtual attendance? Seeing none. In physical attendance? Seeing none? All right, we will move forward. The next item on our agenda is a preliminary discussion of the 2025 annual report. Ms. Genslick, did you want to say anything in regards to the annual report?
Well, we talked about this earlier this evening, and I know that we have some public comments that have come in through the portal. My proposal to the panel is that we add an appendice to the annual report that captures all of those public comments that came in through the handicap panel as an attachment. And that way, you can go right to them. However, members of the public, if you have spoken in previous meetings and have handed material physically, unless it comes in through the portal, you should scan it and put it through the portal and request that it be added to the annual report. So we'd like, our goal for getting the report out signed, you'll have a draft in front of you in January, maybe March, but my goal is to have it signed and submitted to the governorship in March. So if you have comments that you've dropped off up top, please funnel them through our comment portal so that they've been included in the 2025 annual report, and the deadline for that would be December 31st.
Yes.
Yeah, December 31st. So please keep that in mind. If it hasn't come through the portal, it's not going to be included in the report.
So, just for clarification, everyone that has submitted something on the public portal so far, it will be included.
Yep.
So you don't you can just, if you have done that already, it's in there and it will be in the report. The public comment portal also allows you to upload documents. If that has occurred already, it will be in the report. If you want something else uploaded and included in the report, just make sure you do that by the end of the year, and then it will be included in the 2025 report.
And if you could do me a favor, that if you had presented this material physically in a previous meeting, if you could indicate which meeting it belonged to so that it can be prioritized correctly as I put the comments together.
Yes. So, and then obviously, to the extent that public comments made at the podium are recorded in the minutes, those will also, of course, be in the annual report in that way. But if, for documentation, it's much easier to do it through the portal and the upload process. That's why that was implemented. Any questions from panel members for that? Ms. Turco, do you have you have to take the podium?
I've sent.
Make sure the mic is on.
Yes. I have sent materials through the portal, but I've never gotten a confirmation, so.
You don't need to get a confirmation. If you
Okay.
send it through, it's in there.
Oh, okay, all right, because I don't know if it's, I don't know what you've got that I've sent and what you don't have.
Right. If you sent it, it works. So if
Okay.
you put something into the portal, it's there.
Okay.
Can she read it? Can she go and confirm those there?
I would have to submit something to see, to test. It will be in the report, the annual report. She'll be able to see it then.
But if somebody's unsure whether they did it correctly, can they go into the portal and see if it's there? That's what
I don't believe you can.
I don't think so.
I think it's sort of like a Dropbox. So,
Are we making a list of those things so that we would have that?
it's in a database. It puts it automatically in a database. Anything that goes into that comment form.
And you have access to that?
Yep.
And you
Well,
have
I
access.
get
Do I have
an
access?
email notification, but I don't
Chair
have,
and
I
co-chair.
can't look into
Ah.
it.
Gotcha. So if I wanted to check, I would have to check through you?
You could,
Yeah, okay.
yes. And then, of course, it'll be in the report. You can check then visually.
Well, I know, but it might be too late then.
In theory, you could always resubmit it.
In theory, if it was me, I
Yes.
would want to know now if I succeeded in getting it in there. But in order to know that, I would have to check through one of you two in order to confirm that,
That is
it's
my
there.
understanding, yes. But
Okay.
I have no reason to believe that things submitted to it are not properly going into it.
Right. Well, I know, but who knows how things work.
I'll look into that.
Things are so
Verify
easy
it.
these days.
Yes.
Yeah.
Other questions or comments on the annual report? I see Mrs. Lampert's hand.
Yes. You've been talking about public submissions, but what about panel submissions? In other words, if I send a document such as the study on dust and soil, it's been talked about, but if I wanted it in the annual report as a document, then those rules apply to me also? as a panelist?
If you submitted it through the public comment panel portal, yes. You would be able to submit it as a member of the public as well. You are both a panel member and, for the purposes of the online portal, a member of the public.
What I'm saying as a panel member.
And what I'm saying is you have the same rights and opportunities to submit
Okay.
something through the portal as a member of the public. Any other questions? All right, hearing and seeing none, we will move forward. The next item on our agenda is the annual reorganization of the Nuclear Decommissioning Citizens Advisory Panel. So currently, we have a chair and a vice chair. The panel can elect a chair or two chairs, which I would say, I would not advise that. And then a vice chair as well. So nominate, we will go through, typically we've done this, I believe, in November. Last time we did it in November, there wasn't a majority. agreement, so we delayed it until January, but now we're back on track with doing it in November. So my intention would be that the term of whomever is elected would start immediately and continue for the next year.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Gottlieb?
I nominate you as chair for the upcoming year.
Okay. Well, all right.
I second that.
Okay. Well, I guess it's my lot in life. So I've been nominated. I will accept the nomination to serve as chair of the Nuclear Decommissioning Citizens Advisory Panel. Does anyone wish to nominate anyone else?
Yes.
Mary Gadsden is the
Not the chair.
co-chair.
Aren't we voting on the chair right now?
Yeah.
I thought we're not calling the co-chair, we're calling the vice chair. Is that
Yes.
right?
Well, I mean, you could nominate, if you could have a separate nomination. I would say we should vote for a chair first.
Yes.
Technically, under the enabling statute, you can elect a second chair, but famously, the Roman Empire tried that, and it didn't work out super well, so. Well, hopefully not in some regards, but we can deal with that as a co-chair or a vice chair separately. But in terms of the position of a chair, perhaps the chair, any other nominations for the position of a/the chair? Mrs. Lampert, did you wish to make a nomination? You're muted, Mrs. Lampert?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Jack Priest, give you a break.
You're nominating Mr. Priest?
Correct.
Mr. Priest, do you accept the nomination of chair?
Thank you, Mary, but I would decline. I think it's a Citizens Advisory Panel. As a state member, I would decline.
Okay. Mr. Priest has declined. Did you wish to make any other nominations, Mrs. Lampert?
No, I don't. I was trying to help you out with your life.
I appreciate the thought. I'll hang in there, but thank you. Any other nominations for the position of the/a chair of NDCAP? All right, and I stand corrected as 11 votes for this position. So we will go through the roll. In the position of myself as chair, a yes vote would be to vote for me to continue as chair. A no vote would be to not have me be chair, and an abstention would be to take no opinion or position. So, starting, of course, at the top, Mr. McWilliam?
Yes.
Mr. McDonough?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Ms. Dubois?
Yes.
Mr. Fortini?
Yes.
Ms. Gatzlick?
Yes.
Mrs. Lampert?
Yes.
Mr. Priest?
Yes.
Mr. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Wade?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Gottlieb?
Yes, and you're welcome.
Thank you. Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Dr. Potvin?
Yes.
And myself, yes, it is unanimous. I will serve an additional term as chair of the Nuclear Decommissioning Citizens Advisory Panel. I appreciate the vote of confidence. That brings us to the next position, which could be a chair or could be a vice chair.
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Chair,
Yes, Mr. Gottlieb?
nominate Ms. Waldron as vice chair.
Ms. Waldron as vice chair? Okay. Ms. Waldron, do you accept
I'm sorry, Ms. Gaslick.
Okay. All right, Ms. Waldron seemed shocked.
Sorry, Mary. No
It's
offense
okay.
intended.
No offense taken.
All right. Mr. Gottlieb has nominated Mrs. Gatzlick.
I second that nomination.
All right. Do you accept the nomination for the position of vice chair?
I do.
Okay. Are there any other nominations for the position of vice chair of the Nuclear Decommissioning Citizens Advisory Panel? Hearing and seeing up, Ms. Lampert, did you have a nomination?
Yeah, actually, I was going to nominate Mary Waldron.
I will decline, thank you very much, Mary. I will decline that nomination.
No, we just needed a variety of Marys in this.
Yes. All right. So that nomination has been declined. Any other nominations by any panel members for the position of vice chair? Hearing and seeing none, the nomination has been made and accepted. We'll go through the roll again. Mr. McWilliam?
Yes.
Mr. McDonough? Yes. Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Ms. Dubois?
Yes.
Mr. Fortini?
Yes.
Ms. Gatzlick?
Yes.
Mrs. Lampert?
Abstain.
Okay.
Was that, is that abstain?
Abstain. Mr. Priest?
Yes.
Mr. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Wade?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Gottlieb?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes,
Dr. Potvin?
Yes.
And myself, yes. So I believe that would be 14 in favor and 1 abstention. So the motion does carry. Ms. Gatzlick, you have been elected to serve an additional term as vice chair of the Nuclear Decommissioning Citizens Advisory Panel. Pleasure. You as well. All right. Any other nominations? Anyone really want to have a second chair? All right. That's comforting. All right. So that brings us into the next item on our agenda, that being adjournment. We are ahead of schedule, for anyone keeping track. Anyone wish to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right, Mr. Gottlieb has made a motion, and Mr. Fortini has seconded that we adjourn. Any objection to adjourning? Hearing and seeing none. Mr. McWilliam?
Yep.
Mr. Moylan? Sorry, Mr. McDonough? Yes. Mr. O'Brien?
Yes.
Ms. Dubois?
Yes.
Mr. Fortini?
Yes.
Ms. Gatzlick?
Yes.
Mrs. Lampert?
Correct?
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Priest?
Yes.
Mr. Bryant?
Yes.
Mr. Wade?
Yes.
Mr. Callahan?
Yes.
Mr. Gottlieb?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
yes.
Dr. Potvin?
Yes.
And myself, yes, it is unanimous. We are adjourned at 8:12 p.m. Thank you.